The march has lasted a lifetime. Generations of these hominids, our distant human ancestors, have followed the sun. Their migrations etched onto the very face of the late Miocene epoch. Now, the familiar, sun-baked savanna they have known gives way to a world of damp, green twilight. They stop at the edge of the water, a clan of 30, their dark, intelligent eyes taking in the obstacle that has halted their world. It is not a river. A river has a current, a direction. This is a swamp, vast and flat and utterly still, its black water like polished obsidian, reflecting a sky the color of a storm-battered shell. The air is thick, heavy with the smell of wet earth, brimming rot, and a deep, reptilian musk that clings to the back of the throat. There are no birds singing here. The usual chorus of prehistoric life is an avingle absent. The clan's leader, an old male with a lacework of scars on his powerful shoulders, holds up a hand. The gesture is not a command, but an affirmation of a shared instinctual caution. They have all seen the signs. On the muddy bank, a groove is gouged into the earth, wider than 3 of them lying end to end, the unmistakable trace of a colossal belly dragging itself from the depths. Further down, the shattered carapace of a street upended Mies, a turtle the size of a small hut, lies like a broken shield, its platter-sized scutes scattered by a force of unimaginable power. This place has a ruler, a chin, in the clan's collective, wordless memory, passed down through gestures and guttural warnings. It has a name, Purussaurus. They are creatures of the land. Their bite or grace is a disadvantage here. To enter that water is to surrender all their strengths, to become clumsy, helpless prey in an alien element. But the dying grass is behind them and the promise of new foraging grounds on the far side. A hazy line of green on the horizon. Leave them no choice. This is the engine of evolution. The brutal choice between a slow death and a dangerous hope. A silent consensus formed. They will not turn back. They will cross. Their response is not panic, but a slow, deliberate application of intelligence. This is a problem to be solved, a lock for which they must fashion a key. The study of prehistory is the study of such moments, where intellect first wrestled with instinct and won. The entire community mobilizes. It is a portrait of cooperation, the very foundation of their success on this ancient earth. The strongest males, using the weight of their body, push over several tall, remarkably light wooded trees growing near the bank. The females and younger males use sharp-edged stones, not yet true tools but instruments of opportunity, to laboriously strip the branches. Others gather tough, fibrous vines, chewing the ends to make them more pliable for lashing. There is no single architect. The design for the rafts emerges from a shared, intuitive understanding of buoyancy and balance. A piece of knowledge hard-won from 1,000 generations of crossing lesser streams. As they work, the elders stand guard, keeping the curious young away from the water's edge, their gazes constantly sweeping the flat, black surface. They are building more than rafts. They are building a bridge over the maw of a monster, their collective or their only true weapon against a creature from a darker, older time. The sun is at its zenith, beating down on the water and raising a shimmering heat haze. The moment of commitment arrives without ceremony. The clan divides itself between the 3 rafts, knots of silent, anxious figures. The rafts themselves are a triumph of primitive technology, lashed together with a desperate ingenuity. They are clumsy, unstable, and beautiful. They are hope made of wood and vine. Before the last raft pushes off, the leader gives a sharp, guttural command. 2 younger males drag a large, struggling rodent they had captured the day before to a clearing down the bank. With a swift, brutal crack of a stone, one of them breaks its leg. Its high-pitched squeals of pain and terror slice through the swamp's oppressive silence. They heave the creature into the water 50 yards from their launch point. The thrashing in the scent of blood is a calculated offering, a toll paid to the unseen king. It is a hard choice, sacrificing a precious source of meat, but is a choice made with the cold logic of survival. They push off from the shore, the soft mud giving way to the unsettling buoyancy of the water. There is a collective intake of breath as they leave the solid world behind. They are afloat, adrift on the black water. The men at the front of each raft take up long, stripped saplings, their primary tools for this journey. They are not paddles, they are probes. They plunge them into the murky depths, feeling for the texture of the bottom, for sudden drop-offs, for submerged logs. But most of all, they are feeling for something else, something solid, and vast, and alive. For the first 100 yards, the poles find only soft mud. The swamp floor a gentle, sloping shelf. The splashing from the dying rodent has subsided, leaving behind an oily slick of blood on the water's surface. Then, a subtle change, far to their right. A line of floating water hyacinths begins to move against the imperceptible current. A long, slow, V-shaped wake materializes on the glassy surface, a ripple of intent in the stillness. It is not moving toward the bait. It is moving parallel to the rafts, studying them. The creature is intelligent. It is not a mindless eating machine. It is an apex predator assessing a new and unusual variable in its territory. On the middle raft, a small child, sensing the sudden, absolute tension in its mother's body, lets out a frightened whimper. The mother's hand clamps over its mouth instantly, her eyes wide with a terror that needs no language. The leader on the first raft sees the exchange and lets out a low, reassuring grunt, a sound that says, "Be still, be one, do not break." Their fragile unity is a membrane, and panic is the sharpest point. They reach the deeper channel, the heart of the swamp. The probing poles no longer touch the bottom. They are truly adrift now, paddling with flattened pieces of bark. They are at their most vulnerable. And it is then that the king makes its presence known. It does not attack. It does not roar. It simply passes beneath them. A shadow, immense and absolute, blots out the murky green light filtering down into the depths. The raft lists slightly as the water is displaced by a body the length of a fallen tree. The hominids freeze, their paddling stilled. They can feel the movement through the logs. A deep, powerful vibration that travels up their legs and into the base of their skulls. It is a presence so vast, so ancient and confident in its power, that it feels like the swamp itself has gained a consciousness. The shadow is gone as silently as it appeared, but the knowledge of it changes everything. The far shore is no longer a destination. It is a mirage. They are just a collection of heartbeats on a few logs, floating in the jaws of the world. The terror of the shadow's passage lingers, a cold residue in the humid air. The clan paddles with a frantic, desperate energy now. Their earlier caution burned away by raw fear. The far shore, which seemed a world away, is slowly resolving into individual trees and familiar-looking ferns. This proximity to safety, however, only sharpens the tension. They have entered the shallows on the far side of the channel, a maze of half-submerged cypress knees and tangled roots that slows their progress to a crawl. The probing poles are in use again, but the complex paleo-environment of the swamp floor makes it impossible to distinguish a log from a limb. The attack comes where and when they least expect it, not in the deep channel, but here, in the shallows where they believed they were safest. The Ned Ralph, carrying the old leader and for others, snags on a submerged root, as two of them lean over to push it free. The water beside them erupts. It is not an explosion of movement, but a rising island of pebble, black-green hide. The head of the Purussaurus, larger than their entire raft, lifts from the water, its jaws agape. The scale is impossible, a nightmare given fall. The water cascades from a maw lined with teeth like railroad spikes. It ignores the man, he bites the raft. The sound is a wet, catastrophic crunch of wooden vine. The front of the raft disintegrates, logs spinning away like twigs. Two of the men are thrown into the water. Their sudden, panicked thrashing a dinner bell in the predator's whirl. The old leader, however, does not fall. He clings to the tilting remnant of the raft, his eyes locked on the behemoth. What happens next is not a conscious decision. It is an act of pure, selfless instinct, the ultimate expression of altruism that binds a community together. While the great reptile is momentarily occupied with the splintered wood, the leader grabs his heaviest probing pole, a sharpened fire-hardened sapling that is a rudimentary spear. He does not try to flee. He knows that his thrashing would only draw the creature's attention to the other rafts, to the females and the young. He lets out a final, sharp cry, a sound that is both a challenge and a farewell. Then he launches himself from the wreckage, not away from the monster, but directly at its immense, unblinking eye. For a single, surreal moment, he is airborne, a small, dark figure against the colossal, reptilian head. His spear strikes through, sinking a few inches into the soft tissue just below the eye. It is an insignificant wound, a mosquito bite, but it is an insult. The beast's head, which had been turning toward the other swimmers, snaps back to him. Its jaws, wide enough to swallow a bison whole, close around him in a blur of motion. There is a single, dull, final crack, and he is gone. But his sacrifice has purchased the most valuable commodity in the world: time. In the seconds it takes the Purussaurus to dispatch him, the two men in the water have scrambled onto the second raft, and all three rafts have frantically pulled and pushed their way into the thick cypress roots where the behemoth cannot follow. They have crossed. They collapse on the muddy bank, gasping, shaking, their bodies intact but their spirit forever altered. They are fewer now. The cost of passage from one world to the next has been paid in the blood of their leader. They do not look back at the black water. They look at each other. Their shared survivalist island. Terrible monument to the one they left behind. We leave them on that muddy shore, a community bound tighter by the fresh scar of their loss. Their journey across that swamp, a forgotten episode from millions of years ago, is a testament to the brutal pressures that shaped our species. The existence of a creature like Purussaurus demanded more than strength. It demanded foresight, intricate cooperation, and the capacity for ultimate self-sacrifice. These are not simply human virtues, they are survival strategies, forged in the terrifying crucible of a world populated by monsters. The rafts they built, the diversion they created, the final, desperate act of their leader. These are the deep origins of our own complex societies, the first glimmers of the engineering, strategic planning, and altruistic heroism that would one day define us. That swamp was a filter. Only those who could think as a group, plan as a group, and, if necessary, die for the group, could emerge on the other side. Their story is a chilling reminder that for much of hominid history, the world was a place of profound awe and absolute terror, and the price of our own existence was paid by those who faced the dragons of their time, so that their kin might see another sunrise. Every bridge we build is founded on the bones of those who first dared to cross the river. But what happens when the monster is one of your own?